Okay, g'day everyone, it's Borny from PDI here. Filming this on my iPhone because I've literally just gotten back to the farm to give this thing a whirl. It's a Tikka T1x 22 LR. They exist. I think the gun shops are getting 2 each, so everyone's going to be waiting a while yet unless you're one of the lucky 2 at the top of the list. I myself have grabbed every single 22 ammunition I could possibly find to see what this thing can do. I'll throw an Athlon scope on it, my favourite, the 2.5 to 15 by 50 Aries BTR in mil. First impressions, look, they seem pretty good. The bolt, a little bit rougher than I would have liked, but I think it's already, I've been fiddling with it for about 5 minutes, starting to smooth up already, so I just need to remove all the oil. The ejector is, I don't know if this camera's going to pick it up. It's going to be difficult. Let's see, a bit too much sunlight going on, but I'll try and take some photos later. It's just a wire bent around, so we'll see how that goes. A little bit concerned about that. The other thing that I didn't realise when I was looking at these things in the SHOT Show is that there appears to be a bedding block in front of the receiver. So this is actually the receiver here, and there's a bit of plastic jammed up against the barrel, and it's quite hard wedged in there. We're not even going to bother shooting it in that setup, so I'm going to pull it apart in a minute. Oh, refocus. Pull it apart in a minute and put it in one of our carbon UPH stocks and put it all together and see what it can do, and do another video shortly. Alrighty, Borny here again, PDI, regarding the Tikka T1x. Yeah, you can see the results for yourselves. This is all at 50 meters off a bipod and a rear bag. SK rifle match. This was me shooting and this was someone else shooting. Same setup, so pretty similar. I mean, if you move that round up there, it'd look almost identical. Ely match, you know, all pretty similar sort of groups. RWS, sport, didn't really like. RWS rifle match, some weird stringing going on there. They all sort of seem to have that pattern across the board, so something going on, and we're pretty sure that's the bedding block. Oh yes, now I should add, this was in the factory stock. The very first comments and questions we got were requesting us to shoot it in the factory stock. Well, here you go, this is what it looks like with the factory stock. Ely Force, same sort of pattern, that one's a bit higher. That's Gecko rifle 22LR or something. It actually shot that reasonably well. Winchester PowerPoints, point of aim's obviously down here, and it was horrendous. Federal Hunter match, you know, for general sort of hunting and plinking, seems to shoot quite well. SK standard shot reasonably well. Not too dissimilar to SK rifle match, if you're being honest. I mean, move one round somewhere else, you know, do 20 round groups instead of 10 round groups, and you're going to change things. These two were Winchester Zeds, so shorts or slows, whatever they're actually called. Point of aim is about here, and you know, they dropped down there, and as soon as it put them an inch apart, I didn't bother because it wasn't feeding them either. It was really struggling to feed the shorts. Not much else to say really. There's something not quite right with the bedding. We had issues with the magazine from time to time feeding if you're trying to run it too fast. For general plinking, look, in the factory configuration, it's shooting reasonably well. Is it shooting better than a CZ? Not really. Is it shooting better than Lithgow? Not really. But look, the trigger's really nice. Action's probably going to get better with a bit more work. Yeah, at this stage, we're not super enthused. But yeah, we'll keep working on it. We'll try and build something from it. We'll tweak it from here and see what it turns into. All right, Borny from PDI again. I wasn't going to do this, but I saw a comment, someone asked, how's the barrel secured? There's 3 grub screws. 1, 2, 3. So this is actually where the recoil lug sits. If you rotate the barrel, you can see how it's actually sitting. It's all pushed in hard in through here. I haven't tried to slide anything up it, but it could be free floated around that, which is strange because then it actually engages this plate. And there's this little rib here, and it also touches here and here in the stock. So yeah, there's a grouping video which when I edit it all together would have been just before this one that sort of shows these strange diagonal patterns. I'm pretty sure this is the culprit. But yeah, look, I'm not 100% sure if it's threaded or not, but there's certainly 3 grubs sitting underneath, and that's a clear open hole. The barrel looks smooth underneath, you can't see any threads. So if anything, that might be threaded through here, or it's basically a compression fit with 3 grubs holding it in place. So can't help you much more than that, yo Dave, but yeah, that's what it looks like underneath anyway, mate. Have a good one. G'day everyone, Borny from PDI. Just the last video for today on the Tikka T1x. Yeah, look, so far I've been shooting it in the factory stock. It was requested by quite a lot of people. Definitely going to be putting it in one of our carbon stocks next and trying to sort out the little bedding quirks. As you probably would have seen in the previous video, there's something strange going on. There's a bedding block that sort of supports the barrel, yeah, all the way, about 3 inches of it, which is a bit disappointing. A bit surprised they went for that. It's a bit of an old school technique, but and look, they shoot reasonably well, but it's not shooting like I'd hope. Magazines are very big and bulky. They seem to feed pretty well. I've had a couple niggles, especially with shorts or any of the shorter projectile ammunition, definitely having the odd issue. Also, you've got to make sure it's really in there. I've had the magazine drop out a couple times, so it's got to be really in there. The engagement's not super positive. The bolt's not as smooth as I think most people expect from a Tikka. We'll see if that gets better with use. I've gone through most of the ammunition that I bought. I've saved Ely 10x for last, which is about as good as it gets, and I thought I'd just film the gun going bang. And yeah, look, it's okay. Yeah, I don't know. The people are going to ask what our real thoughts are, and the reality is it's okay. The rifle is okay. Is it? My current opinion, though, is compared to just a Tikka, a CZ 455 off the shelf, I think I prefer the CZ. But look, we'll shoot the 10x, and who knows, maybe it'll print the most phenomenal group ever and completely change my opinion on the rifle. Anyway, you can see the setup's just a Harris bipod, and I don't know, one of those mini clamshell bags. I'm off a bench, obviously, this isn't prone, so minimising error. There's bugger all wind, a little bit of mirage, but not much. I've adjusted the trigger right down. The trigger's quite nice, but it's no better than a CZ with a lowy trigger kit in it, to be honest. So it's, yeah, a bit much and a muchness. Again, we're just getting a lot of vertical, and this is even with Ely 10x, which you just shouldn't do. If a gun doesn't like 10x, it normally moves left and right, not up and down, because the velocity is normally very, very consistent between each round. That happens. I obviously partially short-changed it, and it jams it up. And no, it's not actually shooting 10x that well at all. Looks like it wants to. I'll take the camera up there and show people, but anyway, bit more work, bit more use, and we'll let people know what we think in about a week. Actually, no, not in a week, in a couple of weeks after the PRS final. Alright, just to sort of conclude day one with the Tikka T1x 22LR. This is a 20-inch barrel version. Another thing to remember is I've got the 15 times max mag. Having said that, the same scope on my CZ, I generally can get a little bit better, but the CZ is in a carbon stock already, so there is that factor, and this is, you know, a completely factory setup. Does sound like I'm a bit negative on this gun. I will admit that it's not quite as good as I would have hoped, mainly because of that bedding block. Proof is right here. So I pulled the gun apart and then I shot Tikka T1x, and it looks like, you know, previously it was all sort of skewing up to the left, and now it seems to be skewing up to the right. Sort of showed that it wanted to shoot. Nice little 5 shot there, and then you've actually got 5 on the outside here. There's 2 in this guy, which, you know, the first 3 shots sort of look like that, and you sort of hear me in the previous bit of the video complaining about it, but then it sort of tightened up and cleaned up. So I don't know, a bit more work with it. We'll see how she goes. You know, it's pretty good. The only question is the price tag. You know, they're sort of retailing anywhere from $850 to $950 Australian. They've been really hard to get. They've finally arrived, and only, you know, 2 per gun shop it seems. It's a bit disappointing. And considering the time we've waited, it's in the factory configuration. I'm just really not a big fan of that bedding block system, or that barrel bedding block system. I think it's the main cause of the issues. The mere fact that I pulled it apart, took it back down, and got a different result compared to some of these others. I'm pretty sure something's up with the bedding. So we'll get into carbon stock, we'll tweak it, and we'll make something of it, turn it into a project gun, and see how it goes. At this stage, you know, if you've been waiting one for a long time, you know, we're not suggesting you go out and cancel your order, but just be aware that, you know, the mags are big and bulky. The action's not as smooth as you'd hope, and, you know, chances are you're probably gonna have to tweak it and work on it just a little bit to get it right down in group size. And obviously, you know, if you want to run it in a bench rest comp or something like that, you're not going to put a 15 power scope on it. You're going to run 20 or up, or even 40 power. So, you know, more to come. I think there's an Australian group now making Picatinny rails, or Porter Machine Works probably will soon enough. So we'll get a Picatinny rail on it, and then we'll be able to run the 5 to 50 delta and really sort of crunch it for accuracy. But so far, it's, you know, initial thoughts, it's reasonable. Is it as better than all the other rimfires in its price range? Possibly not. Currently, CZs can be had, you know, plastic stock CZ, $300 cheaper. You know, makes it a hard decision to go for the Tikka over that. But, you know, if you want a true trainer to closely mimic your Tikka, and you really like the Tikka trigger and a few other aspects, you know, they're a good little gun, and we look forward to working on it and giving everyone a bit more feedback in a few weeks' time after the PRS final, which, if you're in Australia and you're free next weekend, come down to Buchan. Don't really care how long you have to drive. It's going to be awesome. Come down, have a watch. It'll be a wicked.